Hello there, Pursuing Freedom friends. Thanks as always for tuning in to the Pursuing Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Erin Bradley, and I'm thrilled today to introduce you to my new friend, Wally Elibiary, who is maybe a brother from another mother. I don't know, but somebody recommended that I pick up his book, 24/7 Mindset. And like me, Wally is a mortgage professional who rode the roller coaster, I'm sure, of highs and lows before he realized back in 2013, around the same time that I did, that it was time to scale the business. And he went on to develop an incredible story for himself, which I'll share with you, moving from doing 36 million a year and burning out probably to having a 200 million a year type of mortgage business. And he's still originating today and operating at the highest level. He's also the host of the 24/7 Mindset. And you might be wondering, why would Erin Bradley bring someone on to Pursuing Freedom who's preaching 24/7? Well, my friends, this is the catcher, right? So it's 24 hours a week and 7 months out of the year. Yes, Wally is doing 200 million plus a year in volume while taking plenty of time off, having time for his beautiful family, traveling, and also mentoring and supporting other loan officers to believe in the possibility that you too can have an abundant life, abundant financial business, and also live the life you've always imagined for yourself. So you know, my motto is that the goal is to build a life you don't need a vacation from. So when I was reading Wally's book, I thought to myself, I need to track this guy down. So I did. I hunted him down and I got him here on the show. So I'm thrilled to have him. And with no further ado, Wally, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us today.
I think I might have you call my wife with an intro like that. It'd be great if she heard all that. No, just my wife, Nikki, it's gonna be 20 years in May. She makes sure that the success does not go to my head. We'll put it that way.
I love it. I'm a big fan of a book where I read years and years ago that many people lead a life of external success where their business is like a whale in the bathtub and life is squished in around the edges. And I always think to myself, what's the point? This isn't the easy route. Entrepreneurship is not the easy route. So I know you've created an incredible story, not just for your business, but also for your life. And so I'd love for you to bring us back to the beginning. Like, how did you get into the business? How did you evolve to a place where you decided enough is enough? And then how did you write your own rules? Because a lot of the things that you've done kind of goes against the culture of the mortgage and real estate industry in terms of this hustle culture and the other version of 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm ADHD, I'm dyslexic, and I have dysgraphia. So you asked 3 questions. I'll answer that. Remind me the first one and let me get that. Then ask me the second one.
I love it. Give us the backstory, Wally. How did you get into the business and how did you get to the place where you are today?
Got it. Got it. So, and I'm also unmedicated too, which is kind of fun. But yeah, so how I got into I graduated high school and got out of high school. I was 18 years old. When I was 19 years old, I got in the mortgage business. Became a loan officer assistant to a loan officer and just worked my way up to becoming a loan officer. I think by the age of 20, I broke 6 figures as a loan officer, doing over $10 million in loans my first year in the mortgage business. And I was doing the normal 24/7 mindset where I was door knocking apartments. If you remember a program back in 1999, 2000, it was called a 80/20, 100% financing loan. You can go down to a 500 credit score back then, the wild, wild west of mortgage. And back then I was door knocking apartment complexes looking for people that wanted to buy houses, or I was door knocking houses trying to get people to do cash out loans because rates had gone from almost 11% to 9%. You know, there was plenty of business out there to be had. You had to go hunt for it, right? It's comical when I hear loan officers say, hey, rates are 7%, no one's buying houses. I'm like, if people are buying houses at 10, 12%, there's people buying houses at 7, I promise you. And then I started, banging my head against the wall, just trying to be the hardest working person in the room. I had a high level of pride of telling you how many hours a week I worked. High level of pride of saying, this was a slow week for me. I worked 90 hours this week. This was a great week. I worked over 110 hours this week. And then it was just, 15-hour days, 18-hour days. And it wasn't until 2013 that which I wrote in the book, I had a wake up call. And if you know a gentleman named Todd Duncan, Sales Mastery, he had me on stage and he was celebrating me on stage because we just went from doing like 36 million to 81 million and more than doubled the production. And he had me on stage at Sales Mastery. Everybody's, is fed the ego, and everybody's celebrating me, clapping, standing ovation, and like you feel like a big shot. But I got home that weekend, and we're going on a family vacation in Disneyland. And my youngest child, his name is Alexander. I got two boys, Braden, which we call Braden the Brave. He's about to be 19, and Alexander, we call Alexander the Great. Well, Alexander was only 5 years old at the time, and he's standing in the front foyer waiting. He's super excited to go to Disneyland. He's got his little Mickey Mouse hat on, and he sees me, and I'm rolling my suitcase as I've got on the phone, and I'm walking out, and I point my finger out like that. Hold on a second. So I get off the phone call. I was doing a lead to app with a client, and he goes, "Oh, Dad, you're coming with us?" Like, how pathetic was that? Like, the outside world thought that I was this super duper successful guy, and I got all these praises, immediately right before that. But I was an absent father. I was an absent husband. The business ran me. I did not run the business. The old adage, do you work in your business? Do you work on your business? And then it got to a point where I was so frustrated with not figuring out a smarter way to do business. And I remember it wasn't until a coach asked me a question that changed my mind. It changed my whole mindset. And I really hope this resonates with all the listeners. Wally, what point of your career are you going to stop doing the best you can do? And when are you going to start doing it the best way it can be done? At what point of your career are you going to stop doing the best you can do and start doing it the best way it can be done? And it just totally changed my whole lenses. I started reading a book a week. So since 2013, I read over 50 books a year. And I just shared earlier that I've got ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, and dysgraphia. So the way I read is I listen to the audiobook. I've got the printed book right in front of me, and I follow along with my finger. That's the only way I can digest data. It is this. I've got to listen to it, and then I've got to follow it with my finger, and I've got a journal here on the side of like my ahas. So I started reading a book a week, and when you start gaining knowledge and wisdom that infused in it, you start evolving as a person. It started being, okay, how can I build this mortgage business to where by 2015, I was already making $1 million a year. But when 100% of your income is earned income, not residual income, you stop working, you go on vacation, your income goes down, right? And as a new branch manager running a P&L, do I have to lay off people so I go on a vacation? So you realize pretty quickly that you've got to be able to get some of your income residual. So I focused on 2017. How can 25% of my income be residual from my team's efforts? 2018, year after. How can 50% of my income become residual from my team's efforts? 2019, it became, hey, has 75%. And by 2021, 100% of my income came residually from my team. It still does today. But I started focusing on how do I turn this earned income industry into a residual income industry? I started focusing on how do I study. There's a great book, one of my favorite books in the world called E-Myth.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've learned anything about me so far in the last 10 minutes, I have an obsessive personality. And I got obsessed with E-Myth. And I found out there's E-Myth real estate agent, there's E-Myth financial advisor, E-Myth plumber, E-Myth orthodontist, E-Myth dentist. And I started studying all these different industries. And I started picking up things that dentists to do for residual incomes for businesses. Started picking up things that mechanics do for residual income, financial advisors do. And I realized all these people had one common denominator that made them successful, that earned their residual income. It's repeat business from their past clients. So I started getting on this journey of understanding, okay, my equity, my worth, my value in my business is my database. And I challenged myself of understanding, hey, okay, what if I could figure out a way how to turn my database into a data bank? How to turn my database into a data bank that I'm able to take withdrawals out of. Then I take residual income all I want. So 24/7 mindset and our client concierge system, which is our post-closing referral generating system, is probably the most simplest thing you can ever do in business. And the process goes, I get a referral from a realtor. I do a great job for that client. I close and fund that client. Most loan officers go back to the realtor to go get another one, right? And they go back groveling, get happy hours, blah, blah, blah. I get that same one referral. I refer it out to 4 partners. I refer it out to CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys, insurance agents. So from those 4 partners, I at minimum get 2 referrals back. I'm putting money in their pocket and they want my referrals. Well, Adam Grant wrote a great book called Give and Take. And it talks about there's 3 types of people in the world: the givers, the takers, and the people that give and take evenly. People that give and take evenly are the happiest and most financially successful. I would like to be happy and I would like to make a lot of money. So I focused on building partner relationships with CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys, insurance agents, that when I send them a referral, they work like the dickens to make sure they send me back a referral. So if I just turn that one referral from a realtor, referred it out to 4 different partners, and I got 2 back, now, which I trademarked this the other day, I'm a multiplier loan officer. Most loan officers are just addition loan officers. They go get one deal, they go back get another deal, and go back win a deal. The reason why we do so much volume and our business is maintained and also grown through this recession, whatever we want to call it, is simply because I'm a multiplier loan officer. When I get one deal from a realtor, I can turn it 2 more. Now I've got 3 commissions, right? And what's super cool about that is that same one deal I got from a realtor, if I got 2 referrals back, I'd say about 35-40% of the time, they're not attached to a buyer's agent, not attached to a realtor. They're early in the process. So now I've got the ability to walk up to a realtor and say, hey, great news. I've got a pre-approved client for $500,000 and I want to refer it to you. It's a totally different relationship with my real estate partners than most loan officers have. And I think that's the ability to be able to build a 6-lane highway. And that's what's in my book. I break down how I built a mortgage business that has the 6-lane, which is obviously realtors, database, financial advisors, family will attorneys, insurance agents. So I can do so much more volume than everyone else simply because I've got 6 different referral streams coming at me at a daily basis, where unfortunately most loan officers only have 1 referral stream coming at them on a daily basis, which is realtors. Did I explain that well?
Amazing. Well, it's ironic because the strategy that I teach in my book is actually build a tribe of trusted local service providers that you can be a resource to your clients above and beyond what you get paid to do. Teach this process to your realtor partners. Promote your referral partners or your strategic partners in your tribe, which is the CPA, the financial advisor, the estate attorney, the insurance agent, and beyond, promoting them back to your database so that they start to think of you as someone who has resources beyond what you get paid to do. And then you see the law of reciprocity start to kick in. And now you're creating clients through your tribe. You're creating referral partnerships through your tribe, and it can start to compound and expand from there like a snowball, gaining momentum, going down the hill. That's why when I read your book, it's like, oh my gosh, you know what I love about it is what you said about being a multiplier versus being an addition loan officer. Because what frustrates me the most in this industry is how LOs are trained to chase the agents as if everybody has it all figured out. You're putting your livelihood in someone else's hands. So when you talk about turning your database into a data bank, it makes perfect sense. And the irony is that that's how other industries are taught. They're taught to work their database, to like the real estate agents. If you go to any of the coaching organizations, they're trained to work their sphere and build by referral in this way, right? And you read The Go Giver, be a resource above and beyond what you get paid to do. You talk about the E-Myth, one of my favorite books of all time. And it's interesting that loan officers are trained differently and trained to look at this one source of business. And it's almost as if they see the job title, real estate agent, and then they just start chasing them for coffee. And I know if the agents that are listening are thinking, yes, like we don't want the cold calls, we don't want the coffee appointments, we want to grow our business. And so if everybody could link arms and apply this strategy, they're going to see their business grow. And there are people that are thriving in this market. So I do want to unpack the story we talked about before we were recording, when you shared that you started originating and why you did that. And then how's that working out for you after having scaled your business to being 100% residual. So let's talk about this because it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's kind of a confession, but it's honest. So I hope your viewers appreciate honesty. All right. So I retired from origination October of 2022. And so retired from origination. I still had my team and they were managing all the realtor relationships, CPA relationships, financial advisors, everything from A to Z. I was more of like a business development type of role. And so I think it was like the book came out. The book came out middle of last year, 2023. I got a message from a young lady that was on Instagram, and she goes, "I just looked you up on MMI. You're a phony. There's no production behind your name, but you're talking about this book. Da da da." I responded back and pulled up all my loan officers' production behind my name. And I even responded back and say, see the realtors that's been referring me business for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Here's the loan officers on my team of Team Wally that are doing loans. Oh, you're full of baloney. You're a hypocrite. I'm like, all right, I'll make you a challenge. If I can't close $10 million a month within the next 90 days, give me 90 days to ramp back up, I'll give you a $25,000 check and I'll take the book. I'll take the book off the shelves. 90 days, I did 14 million. And I could be a little bit petty, mostly because I was like more feelings hurt. Every single month, I'm sending her a production report, 14 million, 15 million, 23 million. But the point being about it, it's not about any of that, but I needed to prove it to myself because one thing that person on Instagram said, well, you talk about you do all this business, but it's really easy to do all this business when rates are in 2 to 3% interest rates. And if rates are at 7 or 8%, that you can't do as much volume. So really, well, watch me. And I think what I want to make sure all the viewers understand is the model that I built, it can work successfully well in a 2% interest rate market, a 5% interest rate market, an 8% interest rate market, because these buyers are coming from well-qualified resources, which are CPAs, financial advisors, family will attorneys, insurance agents. But more importantly, most loan officers, if they work with a realtor, and you said some of your viewers are realtors. Now, if you work with a realtor, let's just say that a realtor is a whale of a realtor and they do 10 buyer deals a month. The average percentage that I see most loan officers capture from that 10 is maybe 20, 30%. Some people pay cash. Some people, hey, my friend from college is a lender. I'm going to stick with my guy from church, whatever. When I'm the one that's responsible for referring out over 120 referrals on a monthly basis to my partners, 120 referrals on a monthly basis to my partners on average. And then also, which equates over $2 million in commissions per year that I refer out to my partners, we're capturing over 70% of our realtor referrals that we close. So 7 out of 10 of all those fundings we just talked about, we're capturing that because the realtors are fighting for us more because we're putting money in their pocket because we're referring them pre-approved clients that came from the financial advisor, referring them pre-approved clients that came from the CPA. And that's where the database really takes off. I've got 28,000 households in my database, my Salesforce, and then other tools like HomeBot and Sales Boomerang. But only 4,000 of that 28,000 are my past clients. The additional 24,000 are my CPAs past clients, my financial advisors past clients, my family will attorneys past clients, my realtors past clients, my insurance agents past clients. And they allow me to market to them because I help them protect them from their database being dwindling away, and they don't have the human power to be able to do that. So on my mortgage brokerage here in Dallas called Aspire Mortgage Advisors, I've got the client concierge department here. And that client concierge department calls the realtor's database, schedules, like they would schedule for me an annual mortgage review, schedules for the realtor on their calendar an annual real estate review. And then you've got clients raise their hand, yeah, well, I was actually thinking about buying. Or, hey, I'm about to do this home improvement. Well, I want to take out equity cash and then turn around and buy an investment property. So one of the realtors who do this for, his name is Lance. Year to date, and right now it's August. He's already generated $87,000 in commissions from annual real estate reviews that I've scheduled or my team has scheduled on his calendar. That he would have never followed up with those clients. Now, if he refers me a client, a regular purchase deal, do you think he's going to fight for me more? Yeah. If someone's shopping me for whatever reason and their rate might be lower, do you think he's going to go cross sell me back to that borrower? Yes. Now, if I don't bring that kind of value, then yeah, I'm going to lose those deals. But what I've built in the model that I built allows me to add value, which makes me more valuable. If I'm more valuable, I get paid a lot more, and you actually have the loyalty because we, as loan originators, are doing our part. It frustrates me when I hear, from a loan officer, I don't want to work with realtors, they're not loyal. Well, what did you do to earn that loyalty as a loan officer? You took him out to dinner, you took him out to happy hour, you might have done a double date, and you might have spent $300 on Zillow leads for them. Like, what did you really do to create loyalty? Who puts money in whose pocket? Realtor puts money in a loan officer's pocket. What if a loan officer could put money in a realtor's pocket? It just changed the whole paradigm of the relationship. And then I'm truly valuable.
Totally. I mean, we did an experiment in 2019. If you remember, the rates went up in 2018 and we had the refi business died off. Wells Fargo laid off 3,000 people in one day. The real estate side was okay, but the mortgage side was suffering. And we came into 2019 and we had been a witness to a little bit of a shift in the market in 2018. And so we did a little experiment to dive into our database and we tracked absolutely everything. And our goal was to increase repeat and referral from past client because I felt like the energy in the marketplace was kind of desperate in the lender world, chasing the realtors, cold calling, taking them for coffee, the whole 9 yards. And I thought, I want to have the wheel. I want to take the wheel of this production. And so in this experiment, we tracked everything, how many calls, how many notes, all the things with our database. And then we would follow up with the agents to let them know, hey, did you hear this about the client? This is what they're working on. This is their life event, and hold them accountable to keeping in touch. And as we tracked everything, what was crazy is that between January and April, the repeat and referral from past client went from 22% to 50%. But the scary and staggering statistic was that of all of our repeat clients, only 50% were working with the same agent again. Mm-hmm. And it was because of what you said, where those clients, those agents are not keeping in touch. And the guy that you just alluded to, because of your client concierge department, he has 89,000 in revenue year to date that he wouldn't have if it weren't for those appointments. And you're right, loan officers can do so much better. But more importantly, I think agents and lenders need to redefine this relationship because together you can create incredible momentum. And each of us has different bandwidth based on what our role is. Because when agents are running around, showing houses on nights and weekends, sacrificing time with their families to get our clients under contract, I do believe lenders could do better and have better systems to make sure that this retention is elevated for both parties. And like you said, now you have loyalty, you have value, you're actually giving value. And you talked about, what does it mean to actually be of value? Is it taking people out for coffee and going to a sporting event? No. What keeps somebody up at night is not your mortgage business. It's their business. It's their livelihood, their bank account. So finding ways to put money into their bank account, you're right, is the number one way to do things. So one thing I want to ask you, because you kind of talked about, you jump back in, you're now still doing 5-digit volume every single month. I think I did that math right. Yeah. And you said that you give me 90 days, and in 90 days you closed 14 million. And we talk a lot, there's a saying in the industry, 90 days from consistent activity to results. So what did that look like for you to dive back in and just basically to prove yourself right, essentially, but to also challenge yourself to prove to the world that this process works in any market? What did the activity look like?
It's literally one activity. I went back to my client concierge manager. His name is Garrett. And I said, I've opened up 3 hours a day on my calendar for annual mortgage reviews. Now we call them mortgage efficiency checkups. So I've got a department in my mortgage brokerage. We do this nationwide for loan officers. So I've got a department in my mortgage business as a brokerage that the client concierge department calls a past client and does a 7-day call, does a 30-day call for the loan officer. I wrote this in my book. And then they schedule the 6-month call for the loan officer on their calendar, and they schedule the annual mortgage review for the loan officer on their calendar. Now, what's super cool about that is the year 2 and beyond, it's called a mortgage efficiency checkup. So all I did is go to Garrett and say, hey, I opened up a 3-hour window on my calendar on a daily basis. You are free to schedule mortgage efficiency checkups on my calendar. So what's super cool about that, I get on the phone with the client. It doesn't matter. Like if somebody sent me a silly message the other day and said, hey, with rates being 7, 8%, have you shut down your client concierge department? No, I haven't. It's, got on the phone with doing a mortgage efficiency checkup with a client. I talked to the client. They're at a 3% rate. Mortgage is running great. They need some coaching about how to dispute taxes or remove insurance or reshop around home insurance, but I didn't do anything with the mortgage. But my conversation with them is, hey, 2 years ago, I put you $500,000 in mortgage debt. Talk to me about who's helping you grow your wealth, who's helping you manage your debt out there, and then who's helping you protect your wealth. That means who's helping you grow your wealth? What financial advisor do you have that you work business with? Who's helping you protect your wealth? Who's your CPA? And a lot of times they're like, well, I don't know what you mean. Well, do you have a financial advisor? Do you have life insurance? If you rate your financial advisor 1 to 10, what would you rate them on helping you grow your wealth? If they said 7 or below, I'd tell them, well, time out. I just told you, I just put you $500,000 in mortgage debt. How are you going to build generational wealth for your family working with a 7 out of 10 financial advisor? I'm going to refer you to my financial advisor. He's at a 12 out of 10. And I want you to interview him and see if you want to go work with him. Now I just got a referral to send their financial advisor. What's going to happen to that financial advisor? They're going to refer me back another one. Right?
Yeah.
Or on the other side of the coin, if it's they say my financial advisor is a 9 out of 10. Oh my God. My team helps hundreds of families a year. Would you do me a favor? I've got a client right now that I need to refer to a great financial advisor. Can you, Mr. Borrower, email your financial advisor, put me on the email chain, this a 2-line note why you use me as your mortgage lender, and then share with me or share our contact information. Now I've got a warm referral to a financial advisor that I've got a streamline of referrals coming through. That's all I did. I did that with CPAs, did that with family will attorneys, and did that with insurance agents. And the referrals just started stacking on top of each other. The loan applications started stacking on top of each other. And at the same time, when a financial advisor refers you a client, if they're connected to a realtor, cool, stick with that realtor. And then now you've got a realtor to be able to prospect. During the pre-approval process, I'm prospecting that realtor. Once you go into contract, I'm prospecting that buyer's agent and I'm prospecting that listing agent. So I didn't take any business away from my team. All I did was turn the faucet back on of how to turn your database into a data bank. And it took me 90 days to ramp back up.
Beautiful. All right. So I want to respect your time. Can I just ask you one last question, which is around the mindset of scaling a business? Because in this current market, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty. And there's a lot of scaling back rather than scaling up. And you've got your client concierge department. You've obviously got a team in place to take those applications from application to closing, I suspect, and your post-closing follow-up, I suspect you have help there. How did you break your own barrier of maybe insecurity and fear around putting other people in seats to support you, to communicate with your clients, et cetera? Was that easy for you, or was it uncomfortable? And then how do you address that in today's market with the mindset of the loan officers or even the agents that are listening, like who want to scale back because they're in fear versus dive forward because there's opportunity out there?
I got really great advice probably about 15 years ago. And it was never live off more than 25% of what you make for income. Never live off what you 25% of your income. And a step above that is invest 10% of your income on your growing your wisdom and knowledge and skills. Then the step above that is take 20% of your income and reinvest that back into human leverage on your team that you're able to leverage. So my first assistant that I was able to hire was back in 2013. And the way I went from 36 million to 81 million, like I wrote in my book, and from 36 million in 2013 to $81 million in 2015, just 2 years later, was simply because I'd hired one loan officer assistant that grew to becoming a production partner. And by the end of that 2-year window, I had hired 3 of them. So if I've got 3 nurses running around and I'm the doctor, right? I'm coming in doing the open heart surgery, and I've got 3 nurses managing my email, managing my schedule, managing and scheduling all appointments on my calendar, scrubbing my files. I get on the phone and I do the lead the app with the client, or I get on the phone and I do the high trust interview with a client, dreams and goals call, or I get on the phone and do the lock call and they do everything else the nurses do, my total investment in that borrower over a 10-day span of getting them pre-approved, getting them to apply, getting them pre-approved and locking the loan in is maybe an investment of an hour all combined. But my team has spent 12, 15, 18 hours doing all the other stuff that needed to be done. So I teach my book, Dollar Productive Activities. And it's today and even back then, starting 2015, but 90 to 95% of my day is dollar productive activities. And I talk about red or green time is dollar productive activities. Yellow time is leading you to becoming dollar productive activities, and red time does not make any money. Responding to emails is not making any money. Scrubbing a file doesn't really make any money, but it still needs to be done, right? But emails still need to be responded back to. So the point I'm trying to make is I got really efficient in my day, which allowed me in my same 8-hour window of a day, being able to do 7, 8 high trust calls with a client, 4 or 5 lock calls with a client, 7, 8 referral lead app calls with a client. Or before, this is a horrible thing called phone tag. I absolutely hate phone tag. It's most inefficient way, right? When you call your dentist to get in to go see him for a cleaning, you don't play phone tag with your dentist. You call, they tell you the calendar, and you pick whatever time it is. And if you miss that cleaning, you get bumped 6 weeks later, right? But that's that industry. So when I looked at it as like when I get a referral that comes in, if I can get my loan officer assistant to call and say, hey, Wally's in a closing right now. I'm looking at his calendar. You're really important to him because you came as a referral from A, B, and C. He's got an opening at 9 a.m. or 3 p.m. When do you want him to call you during that window? Then you send them a calendar invite. Then they're on there. And it's a dedicated time that they have. My day became more efficient, which allowed me to become more effective, which that's where the success came from.
Beautiful. I love it. I mean, we could go on for hours because you speak my language. I love your story. It's incredibly inspiring. And I just want to encourage everyone listening. I don't care if you're a lender, an agent, an investor. There's so much wisdom in this 30 minutes that there's so much more to unpack. So my encouragement to you is to follow Wally, listen to his podcast, get his book for sure. And Wally, where can people get a hold of you, find you, follow you? And I know you mentioned something that you might want to offer as a free giveaway for the listeners. So if you could share all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way, and we'll drop the link in the chat. If you go to www.24-7 Mindset Academy, 24-7 Mindset Academy, and you click on resources, there's like 30 different resources in there. You can download the ebook You can download the ebook for free. You can download the audiobook for free. You can download the workbook for the book for free. There is all my scripts that I have on there, my templates on there, everything's at your fingertips. Another great place to follow me is if you go to Facebook and type in 24-7 Mindset. There's a private Facebook group with thousands of loan officers and me on there that I teach on a daily basis on there. So you can definitely follow me through there. But at the end of the day, my whole sole reason of writing the book is to give back. I don't believe as a self-made man or a self-made woman. I believe that there's many people that have opened massive amount of doors for me over my career. And writing the book and giving away these free resources is my way to be able to give back.
Beautiful. I love it. So good. Thank you so much, Wally, for taking the time to be with us today.
Awesome. I appreciate everybody. Have a good one.
Awesome. And to my friends out there pursuing freedom, thanks as always for tuning in. If you would be willing to share some feedback with us, shoot us a DM, find Wally on Instagram, find me at Pursuing Freedom Official. I love hearing from you. If there's other topics you want to see covered. And by the way, if you haven't left a 5-star review, make sure you do that because it helps us continue to attract these amazing guests and help this content get found to encourage you on your journey to building a life you don't need a vacation from. I love you. I appreciate you. And we'll see you next time.